A single photograph at the 2026 Italian Open just ignited a global war of words. It completely divided the tennis world into two angry sides overnight. On the practice courts of the Foro Italico, the cameras captured a moment that nobody was ever supposed to see. Aryna Sabalenka, the undisputed #1 player in the entire world, stood entirely frozen. She locked her calculating eyes on every single movement of the young star Alex Eala. The expression on the face of the Belarusian champion was completely impossible to decode. It was definitely not admiration. It was definitely not a casual dismissal. It was a cold and intense and deeply silent assessment. She stood there like a general studying the movements of a foreign army. The internet absolutely exploded when the image surfaced online. Over 30 million views poured in across all platforms within a matter of hours. The image spread faster than any highlight reel from the actual tournament. People looked at the picture and asked one massive question. Was this just a reigning champion casually watching a practice session? Or is the absolute dominance of Sabalenka actually crumbling because of a 20-year-old phenomenon from the Philippines? The speculation was wild. Fans dissected every pixel of the photo. They looked at the crossed arms of the world #1. They studied the slight tilt of her head. They analyzed the pure focus radiating from her eyes. Some people said she looked terrified. Other people said she looked like a predator watching her prey. The reality is that the women on the tour know everything about each other. They know the weaknesses and the strengths. But this look was something entirely new. It was the look of a ruler realizing that the borders of her kingdom are finally being tested. To fully understand the massive tension trapped inside that one picture we have, to rewind the tape to the exact moments before the shutter clicked. We have to look at the pressure cooking inside the tournament. Look at the intense reality of that exact day. It is May 11th, 2026 in the beautiful and chaotic city of Rome. The Italian Open is entering its absolute most brutal phase. The heat on the clay is rising, and the weak players have already been sent home. Aryna Sabalenka arrived at the tournament as the ultimate defending champion. She was untouchable and she knew it. She had already claimed 3 massive titles this season. Her aura was terrifying. She had just destroyed Barbara Krejcikova with a brutal and suffocating score of 6-2 and 6-3 to march directly into the third round. Her power on the red dirt was unmatched. Her confidence was completely unshakable. She walked past the busy Pietrangeli court feeling like an absolute conqueror patrolling her own territory. But something powerful forced her to stop dead in her tracks. The noise echoing through the grounds was absolutely deafening. Countless Philippine flags waved wildly in the bright Roman sun. The loud and rhythmic chants of Laban Alex echoed across the dusty red clay. The energy over there was completely electric and it was bleeding into the surrounding areas. A 20-year-old girl from Manila was preparing for the biggest match of her entire clay season. She was getting ready to step onto the court against the world #2 Elena Rybakina. That alone is enough pressure to crush a normal player. But Alex Eala is currently ranked number 38 in the world, and she plays like she has nothing to lose and everything to prove. That ranking number means absolutely nothing in this specific context. Alex Eala is not just another random opponent on the draw sheet hoping for a lucky break. She represents a massive cultural movement. She carries the hopes of an entire nation on her shoulders every single time she swings her racket. She brings a tidal wave of chaotic and beautiful energy that even the very top players cannot simply ignore. The crowds follow her everywhere. The noise follows her everywhere. The belief follows her everywhere. Sabalenka stood at the edge of the court watching the crowd roar for the young challenger. The visual contrast in that moment was incredibly sharp. You have the established queen of the sport standing in absolute silence while a massive revolution brews right next door. Sabalenka watched the precise footwork of the Filipina. She watched the clean timing of every single shot. She watched the unshakable belief radiating from the young star. The photographers kept clicking away in the background. They captured every subtle shift in the eyes of the world #1. The tension was building up fast. Every single second that Sabalenka spent watching that practice session added pure fuel to an explosive media storm waiting to happen. The sport of tennis has seen huge rivalries before. We have seen bitter enemies and fierce competitors fight for the #1 spot. But this specific feeling caught on camera was completely different. It felt like a quiet and profound realization that the ground was shifting beneath the feet of the giants. When you see a champion look at a rising star with that terrifying level of intensity, you just know something massive is about to happen to the entire landscape of the tour. What happened next pushed the entire sport over the edge. If you are feeling the intense shift in power happening right now in women tennis, you belong right here with us. Join the Court Legacy community to witness every step of this massive revolution. Let us uncover the rest of this hidden drama together. Within just a few short hours, that single chilling profile picture of Aryna Sabalenka racked up over 30 million views across the internet. It transformed the comment sections of X and Instagram and TikTok into an absolute war zone. American audiences and international tennis analysts began dissecting every single pixel of the image, trying to find the ultimate truth. The debate raged on endlessly, and it quickly split the tennis community into two extremely aggressive camps. One side believed with absolute certainty that the Belarusian champion was deeply terrified of the rapid rise of Alex Eala. They argued that the world number one saw the massive crowds and the waving flags and felt the heavy footsteps of a new era approaching fast. The other side desperately defended the reigning champion. They claimed the media was completely overreacting to a completely normal moment on the practice courts. They argued that top players watch each other all the time, and there was absolutely no hidden malice or fear in her eyes. Let us dive deeper into the insane psychological warfare happening online. When a photo hits 30 million views, it stops being just a picture and becomes a massive cultural event. The comment sections were flooded with people analyzing her body language like top-tier behavioral experts. They pointed out how stiff her shoulders looked in the frame. They analyzed the exact angle of her chin. They talked endlessly about the coldness burning inside her stare. People wrote incredibly long essays about the heavy burden of being the number one player in the world. They explained how incredibly lonely it gets at the very top of the mountain. When you hold the ultimate crown, every single player in the locker room wants to take your head. Sabalenka knows this brutal reality better than anyone else alive today. She has fought off incredible challengers for years to keep her throne. But the passionate fans argued that this specific situation with Alex Eala felt entirely different. Eala brings a completely different kind of terrifying pressure to the court. She brings the heavy weight of an entire nation and a ferocious energy that can rattle even the toughest veterans on the tour. The American fans who always love a good underdog story immediately rallied behind the young Filipina. They wanted to see the established order fall apart completely. The narrative of the terrified champion became the accepted truth almost overnight. Everyone loves watching a massive giant stumble. Everyone loves the dramatic tension of a falling empire. But then a completely new piece of evidence surfaced, and it threw explosive gasoline onto the raging fire. Fans began connecting the dots back to a very disturbing moment earlier in the tournament. During a highly stressful match, Aryna Sabalenka suffered a sudden and shocking psychological meltdown on the dirt. The cameras caught her turning toward her coaching box with pure, unadulterated rage in her eyes. She screamed at her team, asking exactly what they were showing her in a moment of pure, agonizing frustration. The old footage of that intense breakdown started circulating right alongside the viral practice court photo. The internet quickly built a terrifying narrative out of these two isolated events. Fans concluded that Sabalenka was not just frustrated with her own forehand or her own footwork that day. They believed she was having a massive crisis of confidence because she could sense a massive changing of the guard. The sports media aggressively fueled this exact narrative. They painted a vivid picture of an aging queen sitting on a crumbling throne while a fierce young challenger prepared to storm the massive castle walls. The story was absolutely perfect for primetime television. Every single clue pointed directly to a brutal new rivalry in women tennis. It looked exactly like the classic tale of a terrified queen violently clashing with a fearless young princess. The global tension was at an absolute boiling point. The entire internet was getting ready to crucify Aryna Sabalenka and force her into the permanent role of the bitter villain. But exactly when the sheer hatred reached its absolute peak, the world number one delivered a massive plot twist that absolutely nobody saw coming. The entire internet came to a complete and sudden standstill when the official account of Aryna Sabalenka appeared in the most unexpected place possible. The toxic drama was completely dismantled in a matter of seconds. It did not happen during a tense and formal press conference in front of a dozen aggressive sports journalists. It did not happen through a carefully crafted and highly edited public relations statement released by her expensive management team. It happened organically in the comment section of a completely harmless social media post. Let me set the exact scene for this incredible revelation. Iva Jovic is a highly talented 18-year-old rising American star. She had the incredible opportunity to practice with both Sabalenka and Eala during the grueling tournament in Rome. Jovic posted a lovely series of casual behind-the-scenes photos celebrating her amazing training sessions with the absolute top players in the world. Alex Eala quickly saw the post and left a very warm and deeply supportive comment praising her younger training partner. It was just a sweet and perfectly normal interaction between two young athletes navigating the chaotic professional tour. But then, something truly mind-blowing happened that completely broke the tennis internet. Aryna Sabalenka completely bypassed the original caption and directly replied to the specific comment made by Alex Eala. The reigning world number one did not leave a generic message of good luck. She did not leave a simple smiley face. She typed exactly two powerful words followed by a bright crown emoji. She wrote queen behavior. Did that massive plot twist completely catch you off guard? It absolutely paralyzed the entire global tennis community. I want to know exactly what went through your head when the alleged bitter rival dropped a crown emoji for her biggest threat. So tell me your raw and honest reaction in the comments right now. That single beautiful comment generated over 500,000 likes within a few frantic hours. Those two simple words completely shattered every single toxic conspiracy theory that the sports media had spent long days building up. Aryna Sabalenka effortlessly destroyed the hateful narrative with a simple and brilliant tap on her phone screen. The massive armies of fans who were completely ready to cast her as the bitter and jealous villain suddenly found themselves staring directly at a completely different reality. They felt a massive wave of sudden shock and then a profound sense of emotional catharsis. The heavy and suffocating tension that had gripped the tennis world simply evaporated into thin air. The world number one was not tearing down the young rising star from the Philippines. She was publicly and proudly crowning her in front of millions of highly critical eyes. This was definitely not the behavior of a terrified champion who was desperately clinging to her crumbling throne. This was the ultimate display of supreme confidence. It showed a level of deep, profound respect that you rarely ever see at the very top of elite professional sports. The entire global conversation shifted instantly from toxic hostility to pure admiration. People were completely stunned by her absolute grace under immense public pressure. Sabalenka took a viral moment that the angry internet was actively using to destroy her entire reputation, and she flipped it into a beautiful and iconic display of elite sportsmanship. She completely rewrote the complex script of her own story. But this bold public endorsement forces us to pause and ask a much deeper and far more interesting question. Was this simple social media comment just a clever public relations move designed to instantly kill the drama? Or did Aryna Sabalenka secretly recognize the terrifying and unstoppable potential of Alex Eala long before anyone else in the world even noticed? The truth is, this massive public compliment was never just a random impulse to put out a media fire. If you actually dig deep and look back at the forgotten interviews from earlier this exact season, you will find something truly incredible. Aryna Sabalenka actually warned the entire tennis system about this exact girl from Manila long before this picture ever existed. The world number one stood in a quiet hallway after a brutally tough match and delivered a very clear and terrifying warning to everyone listening. She stated clearly that Alex Eala is going to be a massive problem for the entire tour. Sabalenka specifically pointed out that it might not happen today, but it is coming very soon. She openly praised the pure game and the wild crowd and the fearless heart of the young Filipina. Sabalenka knew the violent storm was coming because she survived the exact same storm herself. She clawed her way up from the very bottom of a sport that did not always want her or respect her power. She knows exactly how heavy the pressure feels when you are fighting for your absolute life on the baseline while the entire world doubts your potential. This profound level of professional respect triggered a massive chain reaction across the absolute highest levels of the sport. The elite players of tennis did not stay silent. The media in the Philippines absolutely erupted with massive pride seeing their hometown hero validated by the final boss of the game. Then the heavy hitters of the sport started chiming in one by one, and the internet completely lost its mind. The reigning American superstar Coco Gauff saw the interaction and left her own powerful message of support. Love to see it crowned. Naomi Osaka stepped directly into the conversation and added that this is exactly the kind of uplifting energy the sport desperately needs to survive. Even the stone-cold world number one rival Iga Swiatek broke her usual strict silence to leave one single heavy word of absolute approval: respect. This entire situation completely destroyed the tired old narrative that female athletes must constantly tear each other apart just to succeed. The internet desperately wanted a nasty catfight between a jealous old queen and an arrogant new princess. But what they actually got was something infinitely more powerful and incredibly rare. They witnessed a historic moment where one reigning monarch looked across the dusty battlefield and formally recognized the undeniable divine right of another. Alex Eala is no longer just a lucky underdog, hoping for a good draw and a few lucky bounces. The ultimate authority in the sport just officially validated her status as a permanent threat to the supreme throne. And now that the absolute dust has settled on this viral Roman drama, a completely new and far more terrifying reality is staring both of these incredible women right in the face. When Alex Eala and Aryna Sabalenka finally step onto the same exact court to face each other in a life or death match, the entire world will be watching completely differently. We all know that inevitable day is coming very soon. This beautiful moment of sportsmanship taught American fans a massive lesson about the actual future of this brutal sport. The next era of women tennis is not going to be built on toxic hatred or petty locker room drama. It is going to be built on the supreme respect between absolute titans who know exactly what it takes to survive the grueling daily grind. But let us look closely at the actual math and the brutal tournament structure, because this is exactly where the story gets incredibly real for everyone paying close attention. Aryna Sabalenka is currently sitting comfortably at the absolute top of the mountain as the reigning world number one. She commands every single room she enters. Meanwhile, Alex Eala just absolutely skyrocketed up the global rankings to world number 38. This specific number is absolutely crucial to understand. In the ruthless world of professional tennis, being ranked 38 is the most dangerous position possible. You are just barely outside the protected zone of the 32 seeded players. This means you are the ultimate wildcard. You are the dangerous floater that every single top player prays they do not see in their section of the draw. They have never actually faced each other in an official main draw match where a massive trophy and millions of dollars are on the line. But the upcoming French Open at Roland Garros is about to change the entire landscape of the professional tour forever. The heavy red clay of Paris demands absolute physical perfection and ruthless mental endurance. The complex mathematical mechanics of the Grand Slam draw could very easily drop the powerful Filipina directly into the same exact quarter of the bracket as the reigning world number one. We are literally just weeks away from a potential quarterfinal bloodbath on the most physically demanding surface in the entire world. If that massive collision actually happens, it will completely paralyze the entire sporting world. It will not be a bitter fight between two manufactured enemies driven by fake media hype. It will be an absolute masterclass of power and pure heart between two absolute monarchs fighting for ultimate glory. Eala will bring her ferocious energy and her deafening army of loyal fans ready to shake the stadium to its core. Sabalenka will bring her bone-crushing power and her terrifying aura of pure invincibility. It is the ultimate contrast of physical styles and emotional stories that makes professional tennis the absolute greatest sport on earth. You absolutely cannot afford to miss how this massive rivalry unfolds on the biggest and brightest stages in the world. Will the heavy crown of Aryna Sabalenka survive the brutal red clay of Paris? Or will Alex Eala fulfill the ultimate prophecy and take the absolute throne for herself? Join the Court Legacy community right now, so you are standing right here beside us when these two titans finally clash and the ultimate truth is revealed to the world.